Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our next DevOps Huddle. Log4j is the threat over yet? Would love to hear about it from Vishnu, Srinath, and Rajeshwar here today about our experiences with Log4j. How are you safe from future vulnerabilities? Are you ready for the next one? And how to set up a secure software supply chain? So the team here from Opsera is going to help you with a very lively discussion. With that, I'd like to kick it off and introduce the team here. Vishnu here. Vishnu is the head of product from Opsera. Srinath and Rajeshwar are principal software engineers. Both of them are based in India. So wherever you are joining from, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
So if you look at the very first one, right, like during the December, probably around the vacation time, just before the Christmas, there was a news all over the place saying that like the 0-day vulnerability had hit on Apache Log4j. And pretty much like if you look at the impact, right, like any Java applications, any tools or services that has Java dependencies had the impact. And pretty much a lot of people like who was on the development side of it or the architecture side of it, they had to cancel their vacation. They had to spend sleepless nights during their vacation time, and they have to like start working on fixing the issues. And there are still companies, they are still having nightmares around the 0-day exploit because the legacy of the application might be huge and they are running into a lot of dependencies with respect to upgrading the Apache Log4j to fix the vulnerability. So this is still ongoing. And here we'll talk about like how we can help the customers, and also like we can share some of the best practices, how we resolved it in like in such a short time, and also share some of the feedbacks that we heard from our customers as well, like in terms of how Opsera helped resolving the Log4j 0-day vulnerability. Okay. So one data point, like I've been attending a lot of webinars on the security side of it, right? Like while interacting with a lot of security experts in the industry, they said like there's a significant rise in the number of vulnerabilities coming into the market since the pandemic, right? Like there are multiple reasons. One is like a lot of companies moving towards the digital transformation. As part of that, like they're moving to the cloud. And second thing is like they're all working in remote. So, and also on top of it, like the stress factor as well, right? Like the team started working in silos. They don't understand the security requirements, because if you look at the security personnel versus the number of development teams, it's always like 1 to 100. So the gap is keep increasing, and then like the security team resolving the issue, it's been a challenge. And they said like the data point is 600% increase, and on an average every day that we get like 4,000 vulnerabilities, and like there are 18,000 vulnerabilities that came into the market, and out of 18,000, like 6,000 are critical and 4,000 vulnerabilities, they are worse than critical, right? So the challenge of fixing these vulnerabilities on a day-to-day basis, like it's growing. It's basically impacting the productivity and also impacting the product development teams, right, in terms of shipping the product to the market. So along with that, like that's where the Log4j came in, the 0-day vulnerability. And I'm not expecting this to stop anywhere, and this is going to continue to grow with the 0-day vulnerability, right? Like this is just a start, I would say. And we also had like one more thing, I think, like that came in like a couple of months back around the shell. That's still going as well. But today we'll focus our conversation on the Log4j. So with that, like let me give a data point here. Like when the impact came, like Google did an analysis, and then like they published a document, like 70% of the corp companies are impacted, and there are 17K packages completely impacted, and 35K Java packages impacted, and 8% of the ecosystem. When you say 8% of the ecosystem, this is huge in IT industry, right? Like you're talking about pretty much every company in the world is impacted, and only 48% of the vulnerabilities have got fixed when Apache released the patch. And there are still like 52% of vulnerabilities still open, and it's going to take at least years for us to get out of this, the huge impact that we had around the Log4j. With that, like let me ask some questions to my two smart tech geeks here, like Srinath and Rajeshwar, who basically led the Log4j impact for Opsera here. So Srinath and Rajeshwar, like if you can chime in and talk about what did we do? Like I remember like opening like a P0 when I got the news, and we all swam in with a call, and then like you started analyzing the services that we are running, right? Like microservices, the different services that we are running on the platform. What did we do to identify it, and how quickly we identified and how quickly we resolved it? If you can chime in like from your experience, that will be helpful, like in terms of knowledge sharing.
Yeah, sure, Vishnu. So one thing I would say is the first thing when we saw about this Log4j vulnerability is, what is this and how does it impact everybody? So we had to first understand, how the exploitation happens. So this is another type of a remote code execution, wherein an attacker can send in malicious code to your system through the Log4j and have some code executed on your end and corrupt some files or get some information out of your system. So that is why this is a 0-day vulnerability, and you had to fix it as soon as possible, because anybody can, who has access to that vulnerable code of yours can get any kind of information from your system. So what we did initially was we had to kind of check out all the possibilities, like where and all we were using Log4j, and we had to run a multiple scans to identify which of our packages or modules are being affected. So the best thing about identifying all of this was our code was running on Opsera, and all our builds and deployments happen through Opsera. So we ran everything on Opsera, and we were able to find out that these scans, from the scan results, that we had these vulnerabilities on few of our packages, and we knew what to fix, and it was very easy for us to go ahead.
Thank you, Srinath. And Rajeshwar, like I know, like when we got the incident, it was a nightmare for us, right? Like we were clueless for like first few minutes, and then like once we start running our own pipelines, we were able to quickly identify it like in less than 30 minutes or so, right? Like with all the microservices. And how long it took for us, and like what kind of Log4j that we are using, and like what version did we have to upgrade to resolve the issue? If you can chime in about that, that'll be helpful.
But before that, I'm a bit surprised where, on the voting, I could see that no one even voted for a yes. It came with a huge surprise, because when even we got to know about this Log4j vulnerability, for the first couple of days, news were following up, where we could see that, as the slide did mention, that there were almost like 35,000 plus tens of thousands of Java packages that is almost amounting over to 8% of the entire Maven repository that has been impacted by this recent Log4j vulnerability. We did find that a couple of microservices, Java services, basically did use the Log4j. But then, we had majority of those services which were not using Log4j. And we were kind of like relieved at first to, know of the scale of the impact and the changes that we had to make. But then, what did also, came in as a cloud was that users had a lack of visibility on, what exactly and where exactly these Log4j vulnerabilities were playing in. So basically, it was not just the direct use of these Log4j libraries, but you also have other dependencies or even transitive dependencies coming in place, not just in your application code, but also in the tools and different servers and other things. And then we had to just not restrict our whole analysis just across our repository codes, but also extend it to all the basically everywhere, all the servers, all the tools that we use, all the repositories that we use, all the packages that we use. Even there were just not one level or two level down dependencies that were there, but even we could observe that for certain packages, if you since predominantly most of our services are written on Java, we were working on Spring Boot, and then a lot of dependency libraries were also being used. And then we could also see certain packages did have at least like 5 to 6 levels down of that kind of dependency with the Log4j. And then we had to make sure that with remediation is one thing, but even to understand and identify where all this can be an effect was the main factor behind our concern that was driving us nuts also for the first 2 weeks.
Evenly split. Looks like 1/3 of the folks here still don't have visibilities. Some of them, basically 66%, either have no visibility or have somewhat, and the others probably are not sure, or they believe so, right? But do you still have full visibility is the question. And the mix has been between internal tools, third-party tools, and also as expected, and you're not alone here, don't have a way to identify.
Okay, so let me quickly share like the view of shift left pipeline that Opsera offers out of the box, right? Like, so if you look at here, a lot of people, they do CI and CD, but there is a key component in between the CI CD is continuous security and continuous testing. What Opsera does is like, it can allow you to build the pipelines of the tools that you already have on your ecosystem, and where you can basically configure your security thresholds and then like your gates with approvals, and also like you can set up governance where you can notify the security team or the responsible person or accountable person who can help you in resolving the security issues or the quality of the application around the testing and validation. And this comes out of the box. And whatever that you're seeing in the pipeline, if you have to build it like using any other platform in the market, like be it Jenkins or GitLab or GitHub or Buildkite, you might have to write a script, and it can take like days, or like it can take weeks based on the resources that you have at your end. With Opsera, we can build this pipeline in like less than like a minute, I would say. And all you have to do is just configure the endpoint of your repository, and we will give you a shift left pipeline instantly, which will basically give you a like huge shift on the security aspect and also quality aspect around the application that you're building. Right. I can cover more on the pipeline that we offer with as part of the Opsera, but I would like to cover like one story that like what happened with one of our customer as part of Log4j issues. So they are like Fortune 100 global conglomerate, and they were able to fix the issue in less than 24 hours. So what they did is they basically like started running the pipelines, like close to 1,000 pipelines, right? Like to identify the issues on the Log4j they have on their pipelines on the application that they are having. And the challenges they had previously, there was no visibility into application. The moment they ran in the pipeline, what they were able to do is they were able to get the insights with respect to the pipeline that is impacted, in the sense like the application that is impacted with Log4j, and they were able to send the notification to the security team, and security team was able to like send them the information on like how to fix the vulnerability, right? So like what happened is they were able to run 500 plus releases, and within 24 hours they fixed all the external facing applications, right? Like the customer facing or the consumer facing. And the next 24 hours they started targeting the internal facing application, and they fixed it. And the one feedback they gave us is they were able to identify the issue like in very short time, and they didn't have to like scramble with multiple like the P0 incident meetings, because like everybody had feedback loops with respect to Opsera pipeline. They were able to monitor it in real time, and they were able to deploy it faster, like 85% faster remediation with Opsera's no code platform. This is a huge validation coming from a Fortune 100 company, because if a Fortune 100 company can resolve in like 48 hours, think about like the SMBs, think about the customer who do not have a good security baked in pipeline, and the customers who do not have visibility. It's very difficult for them to even understand the issue, understand the problem, where they have to basically go look into it to solve the issues, right? So that's where like Opsera basically like bringing the value add to the customer in terms of like fixing, identifying the 0-day vulnerabilities. As I said, this is not going to be the last, and this is not going to be the first. We are going to have more 0-day vulnerability as the industry moving towards the digital transformation, moving to cloud. That's because the resource shortage, right? Like not everybody's expertise in the cloud world, and more and more vulnerability is going to come in, especially with the change in the culture, that like the way that we are working in shipping the products to the market. Also, like please feel free to ask any question. It's a great day to get the Amazon gift card, like especially the Prime Day going on today and tomorrow. So this is a last slide. Like this is like high level view on like what Opsera does. Like Opsera offers a 3-prong approach, and with respect to toolchain automation, where we allow customers to spin up the tools that we offer as part of self-service provisioning. And you can spin up the tools from Opsera platform like less than 3 minutes, be it a build or configuration or artifact or security quality or deployment tools. And also like you can bring in your own investment that you have that on your DevOps ecosystem and integrate to Opsera through the vault, the secure vault that we offer for each customer. And you can build declarative pipelines with drag and drop, with integrated and security and quality gates, where you can configure the approval gates through Slack or the Microsoft Teams or the Jira or the ServiceNow, and you can do it across like beat any technology, any tool, any stack, right? In that sense, like you can build these pipelines for SDLC or Salesforce or like infrastructure as a code or SAP or Informatica. So we don't like basically take any position on the tools and services on the tech stack. We basically like our goal is to empower the developers and bringing the good governance, good framework around the DevOps orchestration. And the third one is the unified insights, right? Like this is where like Opsera is going to help customers in terms of understanding the current maturity, and also like this unified insights we offer with actionable intelligence, which will help you to make educated decision on like where you have to invest in terms of the development practices, right? Like be it on the security or the quality or on the planning or on the deployment, and you'll be able to get aggregated contextualized logs, and also audit and compliance reports are like available in one click. That's about Opsera at high level. Probably I'll take a minute and hand it over to Srinath, who will basically like give a quick demo on like how we bake in the security to the pipeline and how we basically set the alerts and notification and approval gates and how you get the visibility out of it. Srinath, I am going to stop sharing and like please take it over.
Vishnu, can you confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yep, I can see your screen.
All right. So this is how Opsera looks like. So Opsera is basically a pipeline structure where you build in, you like Vishnu said, you drag and drop all the steps that you need, and you build a pipeline, and you're ready to go. So this is one such pipeline that we've built, which is basically a simple Docker build, and you're going to push that Docker image to your ECR, AWS ECR repository, and you're going to do an anchor scan on that image that you just pushed. So this is something that we follow for all of our code that we do, and along with this, we also do sonar scan and a couple of other scans to make sure that our code is bug free and vulnerability free. So this is how we do a pipeline, and you also have options to configure any kind of notifications that you want on any step, be it Jira, Teams, ServiceNow, Slack. Just plug in your tools and you're all set to go. And right, so once you've configured all of that, a single step, just click the start pipeline, and we're going to pull the code, do the magic, and show you the results. So since this is going to take some time, I'm going to just show you one of those completed results, and this is just going to show you a security report of the anchor scan that we've just done for one of the code bases that we have, a sample code base that has around 92 vulnerabilities, and all those kinds. So this is how we found out that we have certain vulnerabilities, and we go ahead and fix them. One good thing about Opsera is, as and when you do repetitive scans or repetitive deploys, you're going to see how much of vulnerabilities have increased or reduced, and a couple of more insights on how things go in Opsera. So anything else you want to add here, Vishnu?
So, Srinath, like, can you click the severity and then like show the high and click the URL?
Sure, yeah. So you have all kind of high, medium, critical, severe, vulnerabilities that are shown here, and you can always click on the vulnerability to see, what more information on that, and what is the remediation that you need to do, and all of this.
And on top of it, like when you run this pipeline, like with multiple steps, right? Like Srinath, if you can go back to the pipeline view and go to the summary view, right? So here, like you will be able to see the pipeline, each pipeline with logs coming from different tools, and you'll be able to like look at the console output. So like if you remember that I was talking about the feedback loop going across all the responsible stakeholders, right? Like be it the DevOps team or the development team or the executives or the security team, they can basically come here, look into the pipeline, look into the logs in real time from the different tools, and they'll be able to make a decision whether like this application needs to be stopped, how they have to fix it. And they can also, security team can also give the guidance to the development team to fix it and rerun the pipeline. When the pipeline reruns, if the issue is fixed, the pipeline is going to go forward to the deployment without any approval. But if the pipeline fails with the CV, with the vulnerability, we will fail the pipeline, send the notification back to the security team and the development team, create a Jira ticket, open a ServiceNow incident, and they can basically like fix it. And then that will also help them identify the MTTR, MTTA, and also like get unified insights based on different personas, be it executive or the manager view or the developer view, and understand like how they are maturing over the security and quality of the pipeline as well. Okay, with that, we'll give a pass, and we would like to take any questions that you might have. Also, like if you would like to try Opsera, let us know. Reach out to any one of us, or like reach out to the email ID that like you have registered. We'll be able to help you with a quick POV, like probably like it takes less than 30 minutes, where you can learn the platform entirely, and also you can run and experience yourself on terms of like how you set up the pipeline, how you catch the vulnerabilities on a proactive manner, rather like working on a reactive manner, getting into the like the security issues.